What's up, guys? Welcome to Simple Shit. For those of you who don't know, my name's Alvin, and what this show is about is it takes relatively complicated situations. We try to boil them down to really simple things, okay? So we take really big, complicated things, and we boil them down to little simple things, okay? And we just work on concepts and just try to figure out, why some of these things that are overcomplicated are overcomplicated. And I have my theories about what that is, but what we're going to do is we're going to learn. Okay, we're going to do something. We're going to go on a journey, you and me. We're going to go on a journey and we're going to learn some things. And some things that maybe don't make that much sense are going to make some more sense. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Simone Biles and why maybe she just didn't feel like working out, being in the Olympics anymore. Because maybe she just didn't feel like being there. And why maybe I'm not that upset about it. So let's talk on the other side of the intro. Simone Biles. So for those of you that don't know, Simone Biles is the most decorated Olympian ever. Not just gymnast, not just woman, not just man, the most decorated Olympian ever. I'm going to read you a couple of things just really quick, okay? And then I'm going to get into the reaction to the things that have happened to her. And I have to say, I'm like, even though I'm not shocked at the reaction for what she did or how she handled leaving the Olympics, the parts I think that speak to me, being on the outskirts of professional athletics and so on and so forth, is that no one really talks about what it's actually like for those athletes. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But first, I should be sharing this screen here, and it says this. It says, Biles is the gymnast with the most world medals, the most world gold medals, having surpassed Vitaly Sherbo's record of 23 world medals by winning her 24th and 25th, both gold, at the 2019 competition at Stuttgart. She is a female gymnast with the most all-around titles. Biles is the sixth woman to win individual all-around title both in the World Championships and in the Olympics, and the first gymnast since Lila Pokayeva in 1996 to hold both titles simultaneously. She is the 10th female gymnast and the first American female gymnast to win a world medal in every event, and the first female gymnast since Daniela Silvas in 1988 to win a medal on every event at a single Olympic Games or World Championships. Having accomplished this feat at the 2018 World Championships in Doha. Okay. I would go down through the list of all of her accolades one by one, but it would take forever. Like, that's how many there are. And here's the sad thing about this whole thing before I get into what I'm about to show you guys. We're about to do this together. But what's sad is that, especially for a gymnast, that's a really tough life. They don't make the money that they should. Generally, their families are struggling. They barely make enough money to participate in the things that they need to participate in. It's training sun up to sundown. It's hard on the body. It's a lot of wear and tear. It's hard on the families. It's hard emotionally. And the reality is that the American public doesn't really see them except for like a couple of days a year. And they only have an opportunity to be in front of, America a couple of times a year. And I used to believe when I was a child that everybody went off to the Olympics compound somewhere for USA, and there's a big USA compound where all the best athletes were, and that they got trained up all together and they went all together and they showed up at the Olympics and they kicked the shit out of everybody. But that couldn't be further from the truth. That is not what happens. All these people are on their own individually. When you're talking about my little sister was in the Olympic trials in 2012. I got a chance to go and visit, and I got to watch. I got to be trackside. And you realize that these are just a bunch of kids. They're a bunch of kids that are working out on their own dime. Some of them can be fortunate to be from wealthy families. Some have to stay with their coaches or train themselves. The best of the best. I always thought that the best of the best was getting support. And the reality is that this country doesn't support the best of the best at all. Doesn't support, it takes credit for the best of the best, but they don't really support the best of the best at all. And I think that is a dirty little secret that the USA Olympic team needs to start talking about, because everybody's getting on Simone Biles, and I'm going to go over why I think she made the decision that she made. But I mean, why would she compete? Like, she's already the most decorated and people wouldn't even know. If not for the fact that I told you, would you even know? Like, you wouldn't have even known. So she already is not getting any kind of appreciation from the country that she represents. She rocks the red, white, and blue. But the majority of the country doesn't know who she is. But all that being said, we're going to watch this video right here. And we're going to talk about this on the other side. I haven't seen this yet, but I know that the right-wing media has gone apeshit, and I kind of want to react to it with you. So let's go on ahead and watch this clip.
She's totally a sociopath. I have to go look at these 4'11" Russian Olympians chewing on their gold medals, smirking at the Americans. I'm not okay with that. But honestly, that's where we're headed. We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles. She's probably the greatest gymnast of all time. She's also very selfish, she's immature, and she is a shame to the country. She's totally a sociopath. Of course she's a sociopath. Andrew said she's not a sociopath. What kind of person skips the gold medal match? Who does that? It's a shame to the nation. You just gave a gift to the Russians.
Well, the Blue Checks, of course, have already rallied to Simone Biles' defense and said, "Oh, it's so brave."
Well, why is this brave? Why is this brave? What's brave about not being brave? Because that's what we're talking about here. This is, oh, you didn't stand up to the bully, so to speak? That's so brave of you. No, I think that's the not brave move.
Just felt like it would be a little bit better to take a back seat, work on my mindfulness, and I knew that the girls would do an absolutely great job, and I didn't want to risk the team a medal for kind of my screw-ups, because they've worked way too hard for that. You usually don't hear me say things like that, because I'll usually persevere and push through things, but not to cost the team a medal.
Simone Biles is human, and every single athlete, no matter how successful they are, every single athlete has good days and bad days, and every athlete has performances. They look back, they wish they did better. I'm absolutely devastated for Simone. I feel so bad for her. I feel sick to my stomach. I just am praying that she's okay. I'm praying that she gets the support and the love that she needs. I know how much all of the girls have worked so hard for this moment, and I think that they did an incredible job. It's not easy to perform in an Olympic team final under such immense pressure, and I'm so proud of them for winning the silver medal.
If you're not ready for the big time, we got thousands of young female gymnasts that would love to take the place. Thousands. Simone Biles just showed the rest of the nation that when things get tough, you shatter into a million pieces.
Well, that's what the right wing are saying. Look, let me tell you like this. These kids don't get no help. from the country, okay? The people that you see running track and field, doing any of the Olympic sports outside of the professionals, the ones that are not doing it professionally, are not getting paid a ton of money, and it requires a ton of money. They touched on the video about the amount of stress that she's under. Absolutely. And I'm going to come from a place that I don't think you're probably, it's going to be very comfortable for you to hear. Unfortunately, what I have to say is actually a little bit rough, but I think that people need to understand. See, this, obviously the mental health thing is not new. We've just now, people have been able to use that as an excuse. What a mental health excuse really is I don't feel like it. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Is the juice worth the squeeze? You know? Is the cow worth the milk? I don't know if that's a saying, I just made that up. But you know what I mean. And I think we make these judgments with such a romantic idea of what the whole process is without understanding the nasty underbelly, right? And so I kind of broke this up into like 5 things that these type of athletes, decisions that they have to make. And we're talking about Simone Biles, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that this can't be applied to other athletes, right? So I'm going to leave the physical and mental health at the end because I think that's that one. I want to finish with that, so we're going to come back to that. I'm going to start with monetary, right? Monetary. Now, in fact, I'm going to just give you the rundown and then we'll dig into it a little bit. So first, monetary, right? Who's paying you? Is it costing me? What's the actual monetary cost, right? The social aspect. How am I going to look like amongst my peers? Not just the people that I compete with, but how about the world, so on and so forth. The people that I respect, are they going to respect me for my decisions when it comes to being out in the world? There's the moral aspect. You know, am I doing something that's morally wrong or morally corrupt? Or am I dealing with people that are morally corrupt? For marketing, is whatever this opportunity is it going to help my image or is it going to hurt my image? Is it going to help my brand? Is it going to hurt my brand? Will it not matter one iota? Remember that, because I'm going to come back to that. And then my physical health. What kind of sport am I doing? How much risk is involved? Physically, how much risk is involved? What kind of injuries could I get? Right? We already know gymnasts, typically small in stature, they kind of stunt their own growth. They have complications when it comes to like having children, so on and so forth. I think there's a lot of injuries that some of these women have, and they would tell you compressed spine, stress fractures, scoliosis, torn muscles, sprained joints that have never healed. They've got a laundry list of injuries because in order for them to do those types of things, that's just what has to happen. So we take that into consideration. And then you throw mental health in there, which again, now, before I get into the details of all of these things, and like I said, don't want to, I think what happens is, whether we know it or not, I think some athletes do it a little bit different than others, but ultimately what happens is all of these factors get thrown in a blender and mixed up, and what pops out is a yay or a nay. And whether or not she specifically sat down and she put all these things down and said, okay, this is what I want to do, regardless of that, all of these things definitely went through her head. Every athlete that ever goes into a football game, every boxer that goes into a ring, every basketball player that goes onto the court, every baseball player that steps up on that pitcher's mound or steps into that batter's box goes through all of these checklists. Every race car driver that's ever jumped in a car before, they go through these numbers, man, and they have to make a decision. And sometimes that decision is more attractive than others, right? So I'm going to what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna break up all of these things piece by piece in relation to Simone Biles, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna give you guys the outline as of right now, and I'll have you guys stay tuned and like keep up for the rest of these things. But ultimately, who is paying her? She gets her money from endorsements. The Olympic team, I think if she wins a medal, she does get some money, but the Olympic team doesn't pay her all year. They don't. She makes her money on endorsements. And without those endorsements, without her performance, she doesn't make any freaking money. Okay? It's the social aspect. You know, Black Lives Matter, Fox News, people back and forth talking about she's a quitter, she's this, she's that, she's this, she's that. I mean, you know, Black women as a whole, as a collective right now, ain't looking so good. There's a rift between sides in a lot of different ways. And socially, if I were her, I might have a hard time wearing that red, white, and blue on my shoulder or on my chest. Especially how Black women have been treated in this year's Olympics. And I'm gonna leave that there. Moral, right? The team. She's been with a lot of those girls for a really long time. She's suffered through the whole controversy with the rape allegations and so on and so forth. She's still sitting in the pocket with all of those girls. Those girls know each other. They have an understanding. I'm sure they have a little bit of a relationship, right? So she's got a moral relation, like morally she wants to be there. Morally she should support, so on and so forth. But morally, is that what the country wants? Is that what, you know, obviously, like we're having a discussion right now, right or wrong. And I don't necessarily know if it falls on like Democrat, Republican, male, female, right? It seems like it wants to fall along those lines, but I don't know. I'm hearing mixed emotions. Marketing, would anything, how would this affect future value, how she looks? Is it gonna get eyeballs, right? She's already the most decorated Olympian, already. Before she even got to the Olympic trials this year, she already was. So anything beyond now is gravy, right? But if the value, right? I'm already the most winning. So if the risk isn't worth the reward, then could you see how maybe she actually wouldn't go through? Anyways, that's that. And then again, your physical health. I mean, it's just dangerous. She's got like 6 moves named after her because she was the first one to do them. One of which she had a move get taken completely off the books and no one's allowed to do it because nobody could do it in the first place. Like, she's got moves named after her. The most difficult moves, all of them. She's 24 years old, but by gymnastic standards, that's getting on up there. That's like young in the tooth, or old in the tooth, which it is what it is. Because I heard her in an interview recently, and she said with a straight ass face, I wake up in the morning and everything hurts. 24 years old. I wake up in the morning and everything hurts. So, I mean, so again, you start looking at it that way, right? The Olympics or the Olympic team, Team USA is not paying me. My country treats me like shit. USA Gymnastics put me in the hands of a predator, didn't protect me. The United States doesn't, I'm the most winning Olympian out here and nobody even knows my name, knows who I am. ESPN would rather talk about Jake Paul, you know, doing what he did instead of me, you know, crushing it at the Olympic trials. They didn't even mention my name on ESPN. I mean, I already got my endorsements. I'm not going to lose anything, so is this going to hurt my brand? I guess. Nobody really talked about me anyways. And then physical health. I just slammed my knee, or I just had a mishap. I'm not running on 100%. I'm not as good as I could be. right? I know the team, they know what's up. We've had a conversation about it. I'm not performing at my best right now. And you know what? The juice is not worth the squeeze. I would rather give the opportunity to my teammate and let my teammate do the ding instead of me going and screwing up. And the reality is I don't want to. And that's what I think it is. I don't think it's even like mental health. It's I don't want to. Why should I? Y'all don't appreciate anything that I do anyways. So why stick my neck out for you? Make it make sense. What? So I get to be on the Olympic team. I earned the right to be on the Olympic team. Anybody give her anything? She created those new moves. She practiced every day. She became the superstar that she is. It's the country that didn't appreciate her. It's all these people that consider themselves fans didn't even know who the hell she was. See her every 4 years. Oh yeah, that's the black girl that does all the, yeah. Can you imagine what it's like being a black girl trying to grow up in that kind of environment where there is no black people? Like that in and of itself was a freaking feat. So as a competitor myself, I'm not much of a quitter, but definitely, and I don't think that she's a quitter, but I do think that people are judging her without having enough information. And once again, after seeing how they treat black people and seeing all the what for? What for? Like, tell me, what for? Make it make sense. Why would she want to deal with any of that? Okay, so on Simone Biles, what I am going to do is I'm going to break down those 5 things in a separate video. This is part 1 of a 6-part deal, okay? So I'm going to break down all those things of what I mean by those things, because maybe you saw some things that, didn't exactly make a lot of sense to you. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 1, monetary part of the decision. 2, social aspect of the decision. 3, the moral aspect of any kind of decision. And this is with all professional sports. 4, marketing. And 5, physical and mental health. Okay, we're going to talk about all those things. I'm going to break them up individually. So if you have any questions, or if there's one of these 5 things, and I'll put them up on the screen somewhere, if one of these things is more interesting to you as far as how it would apply to a professional athlete, and maybe whatever your favorite sport is, ask me, hit me up in the comments, and I'll try to focus on that. And over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to bang all of these out, and we're just going to talk about how these aspects affect professional athletes' decisions about things that they do and why they do some of the things that they do. I think that's really interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming through. For those of you that don't know, like I said, like, subscribe. If there is like I said, hit me in the comments, hit me in the questions, so on and so forth. Erykah Badu said it best. I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my shit. I'm out.